Hello and welcome back to the third channel. I know, right? Twice in one day. Well, depends on when you see this because it depends on how quick the other one's nearly finished editing as of 2 o'clock on the 27th of March 2025. The other one is nearly finished editing as in the final stages, so it should be double today, but who knows? There might be a freak weather storm and it might hit me in the face. I don't know how that would happen if I don't leave the building, but who knows? Anything could happen. Well, not anything. I live in Britain. Most weather disasters happen elsewhere. Apart from we live in fine in the air if there's a gust of wind, not any type of wind. But we shall crack on with the wonderful, glorious, and amazing interview. Me predicting the future, and my guest today is best known for appearing in what I like to call the revival, but it's really a continuation. But technically, in all terms, it's a revival of Waterloo Road. It's one and only Joe Coffey.
Hello. Hi. I have a question. Who's the other one?
The other one was Mark Silk, who's a
Oh
voice
yeah.
actor. He's very nice.
Oh, okay, okay. So I've got Mark Silk to beat today for affable.
Yeah. And so we'll start at the beginning because Julie Andrews once said 60 years ago that it was a good place to start, and 60 years later she is not wrong, but bearing in mind she probably hasn't disagreed with herself. How did you get into the wonderful world we called acting?
Oh, well, I got into acting when I was about 11 years old. I joined something in Birmingham called the Central Junior Television Workshop, and it was there's a really weird group of people that were part of it in Birmingham, so we all know each other. There's Alison Hammond, Vicky McClure, Sam Morton, and it was like a kind of agency at the time set up by Central Television for kind of working class kids to get into acting. And it was really difficult to get into, but I got in it. So at the age of 11, we were doing like, I did some really weird things. So I was in a show called Palace Hill, like a comedy show. That was my first kind of venture into character comedy. And then I did a documentary with them. We did Edinburgh Festival and like Two Gentlemen of Verona, a bit Shakespeare. And then at the age of 13, maybe, with a really, really thick Birmingham accent. Luckily, it's never been shown on television again because I look like some crazy Peaky Blinder that's got. I did a documentary for Central Television with some other people from Central Workshop. And we went and we were discovering religion. So it started with me walking out of a huge Bible. And then I went to stay in a monastery for 2 weeks and took a vow of silence at the age of 13. Now, some might say that isn't very interesting television, but yeah, it was. It was very, yeah. I don't know what the outcome of it was really. I don't know if we found religion or not, but we had a really good coach trip away to Stratford upon Avon or wherever. It was like a Benedictine monastery in Bedfordshire.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you reckon that was Alison Hammond good at acting?
Yeah, she's really good. Yeah. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me and don't like never say never. But if Alison, obviously she's madly busy at the moment doing her thing. But if Alison ever did do acting, because she was always like she did some amazing plays. She did this play where they all went to New York and did this. I didn't get picked for that one. I wasn't old enough. But she's
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah. And I can see her doing the Lorraine where she just walks into Coronation Street just to get hit by something and just hello, I'm here. That
Yeah. No, I want to do that. Let me.
and she was Alison Hammond. Before we move on, she was recently did a cameo in the Amazon Prime series Last One Laughing UK. What they did is for 6 hours, it must have been they shoved her in a fridge. When they opened the fridge, she's just there. She's there, and Richard Iward is trying not to laugh that she's in this fridge. Her body,
I haven't seen any of those shows yet, but they seem amazing.
yes,
I would last 2 seconds. I need to. if something makes me laugh on the set of Waterloo Road, that's it. I end up getting sectioned. I get taken off set. I just can't. I can't. I'm not one of these people that recovers well from laughter. I just
Yeah,
keep going.
yeah, and I think it was I think Bob Mortimer opened the fridge because he wanted to get some out because it's a working fridge, so there's proper food in there. They're in there for 6 hours and they need some sustenance. But literally, he nearly had a heart attack. He nearly died because of Alison Hammond. And she just burst out laughing, so everyone else is trying not to
Oh,
laugh.
was she allowed to laugh?
Yeah, because
Okay,
she was just there
right,
just to make them laugh. So her and
right.
Dyer had been brought in just to try and upset them all and make them all lose.
I'd like to see Alison try and do that though, not laugh for a period of time.
That
She's
was,
as bad as me. I punctuate every sentence with laughter. It's
yeah. And one of the things you've done is seems to be, and it's described as the whole point of the program, seems to be the most intimidating program on British, well, intimidating quiz program on British.
oh,
What would they like doing the Celebrity Mastermind?
oh, it was absolutely terrifying, Tom. It's not. I had no idea. I tried as soon as I said yes to my agent. I was in an airport in Malaga, and then I was with my brother, who's really clever, and I went, "Oh, they've just asked me to do Celebrity Mastermind," and he went, "You can't do that." And I went, "No, no, I know. Oh my God, what have I done? No, no." So I phoned my agent back and went, I can't do that. I'm sorry, I can't do masterminds." And he went, "No, no, you're doing it. You are doing it." I went, "Oh, no, but no." And so I ended up going to Belfast
Yeah.
with my sisters, came along. We took hoiked the motability scooter onto my car, drove all the way to Belfast, and it was honestly the most terrifying experience that, and I'm not putting myself down in any way, but I was with Andrew Roachford, Jason Mohammed, and Sarah Barton, who won. Um, Jason Mohammed and um, Andrew are both extremely intelligent guys and far more intelligent than I am. And not again, not putting when you talk to them beforehand, they knew everything. They knew general knowledge, they knew books and countries and mathematics. And then the only reason I think that I came second and Sarah is because we're both stand-up comedians and we can handle the amount of adrenaline that was in the studio because it is honestly, it's like suddenly it's like a joke. It all goes, you sit down and it's all the shiny sort of chair and all the lights. And then it does go dun 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 dun, dun and you're like, oh, I can't leave. Can I leave? I said, can I just walk off at this point? And then Clive Myrie's back from there. I'd seen Clive Myrie a while ago, like announcing war in the Ukraine, and now he's here. Like, it's the most terrifying thing. Then at one point I said pass on the because you're not supposed to say pass because you lose points, my brother-in-law told me. So, and the only reason I said pass was because I was sat like this on the edge of the chair and Myra was talking, answering the questions. But I got so nervous that my neck kind of locked and I nearly fell off the chair. So I had to just say pause because I thought I was actually going to just pass out. But I didn't. I came second.
And when you come to the stage where you have to choose your specialist subject, is that the hardest thing to do because you there's like probably rules out there saying you can't do the same subject as someone else? Is that like hard to choose a subject that hasn't already been done before?
Well, they talk to you. You get a not a question producer, someone that writes the questions. She's like a senior producer on it. She's been doing it for years. And the advice that she gives you, she asks you to pick a couple of subjects that you'd like doing. So I picked J.R. Ewing, and they're from Dallas, but Dallas as a subject, I know someone's picked it in the past, might have been too wide a subject
Yeah,
because you have to kind of study on something really, really like so JR, I knew that I'd just studied the episodes that he's in.
yeah.
Like well, he's in pretty much all of it, but you're kind of given a bit of a time frame so you can really cram on it. And let me tell you, I did more revision for Celebrity Mastermind than I did for my GCSEs. And it shows, Tom.
Yeah, and that's what helps with revision if it's just something that you do anyway. It's less effort. It's less.
Yeah.
just sitting there and watching episodes of Dynasty is less effort than trying to work out the trigonometry of lakes in Africa.
I don't even know what that means.
That's that's
But
divine.
I do know about Dallas.
Uh, uh, and so what? One of the other things that you've done that is I think should be more popular than it is, but I think it's
Such as my life.
I think I think it's going to become more popular now that it's on the main system instead of freebie. It's on the main system, which used to be IMDb TV, but that's irrelevant. What was it like working on one episode of Alex Rider?
Do you know what? That was crazy, Alex Rider, because like it's it was such a big production and it's so glossy. And I hadn't really done anything for Amazon before. And they used two cameras, and I was like, oh my God, there's two cameras in this cathedral. But it was brilliant. And I worked with an actor called Jason Wong, who's done Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, and he was absolute lovely guy. But he does a lot of the action stuff. So, and I think the kind of premise in Alex Rider, from what I've seen, is that I'm going to get shoved off the top of a cathedral. I mean, how I got up there in the first place is anyone's guess, but there is a strong possibility at one point that the implications are that I might get either shoved off a cathedral or blown up by at the top of the cathedral. I don't think it happens. No spoilers, but it doesn't happen. But yeah, it was absolutely brilliant working on it. It was very considering it was in such a like a big cathedral. We were filming in March, so it was freezing, but it was everyone was so lovely, and I was a bit. Well, you get when you're on Waterloo Road, obviously you get so used to working with people and so used to the crew and they're all your mates and stuff, and so when you go on to work on something else, you're like, ooh, I don't know. Are they going to beat me up and take my lunch money or what? And they didn't. They were absolutely lovely.
And speaking about Waterloo Road, were you a fan of Waterloo Road before you got onto the show, or had you never seen it before?
No, no, I'd watched it. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it when they went to Scotland, and I'm not saying that because I never want to go to Scotland. I don't want to go to Scotland, but I really loved it when they went to Scotland, and I loved all the characters in Waterloo Road. They're great, aren't they? They're kind of I did watch it not from the very beginning, apart for like halfway through with Denise and Grantley.
Yeah, and we all know that Grantley is the best teacher of all because no one else is better than Grantley apart from him dying. That's the only bit
Yeah, I know.
like, oh,
That was
you could have come
really
back.
sad though, wasn't it? You
Yeah.
kind of, I remember that now, and it was really sad. He's brilliant though, isn't he? He's fantastic.
And I think that what works really well for the revival of Waterloo Road is that it doesn't say Scotland doesn't exist. So it means that at any point we could kidnap some of the people who were in that version at the end and bring them in. So if we want more returning cast, get all the Scotland lot back.
Oh, is that what you think? Well, we could never say on the BBC that Scotland doesn't exist. Can you imagine what might happen there? What regular characters would you like to see back then? Hold on a minute, but what about the current characters?
So you bring it's like you bring them in like guest characters. You bring
Oh,
them in.
right. Okay.
It's like they've come in because they found out there's another Waterloo Road and like, well, what's this
Oh,
about?
yeah. Right. Or they set up like their own
Yeah,
rival Waterloo Road across the road.
it's like
Waterford Road.
uh, and then you could just have Grange Chill down the other road. You could just bring
Yeah.
have every school driver in the one road, just one street, just one.
Zamo as headmaster.
Yeah. And I think that do you reckon that what why do you reckon that the revival Waterloo has become so successful?
Probably because we're all really good. It's just a great show. I watch things like that,
Yeah,
so I I watch it, and then when I appear in it, I'm like a little bit freaked out because I'm so involved in what's going on. I'm like, oh, with the Libby and Jared thing at the moment, and I'm like, oh, why am I there? Hold on, and then just carry on watching it. It's great storylines, and all the people, honestly, they're amazing. The Lindsay, as the head at the moment is absolutely fantastic. She's such a brilliant actress.
yeah. And I think that the UK, from history, I think we're very good at creating school dramas that are sometimes unrealistic and sometimes magical, but most of the time are very realistic. Because the other one that is on that's a lot more, well, it's BBC Three, but commissioned by CBBC, so it's confusing. But Phoenix Rise has the Waterloo Road element to it, and I think that that's what makes school drama so successful, because once you've got one success like Ultra Road, you adapt it and make it slightly more altered. And I think that that's why, even though people might hate school and think school's a load of rubbish, that's why we're all invested in these things, because it's sometimes similar to experiences that either the viewers may have had. And do you reckon that that's why the storylines are so good, because it reflects what some people may go through?
Yeah, definitely. I think the story team worked really hard on trying to find out what current stories are in schools and what current storylines are with teachers as well as sort of the outside staff as well that come in, like governors, etc., and things like that, and academies as a whole. And yeah, so to keep it quite relevant. But yeah.
Yeah. And what are the other things you've worked on that recently celebrated an anniversary? It turns out a lot of things are celebrating anniversaries in the 1 year, so I could be talking about three things. But so what was it like appearing in two episodes of EastEnders?
Oh, EastEnders was great. Well, I've been given EastEnders, which was incredible. But when I went there, I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone apart from Don, who's now in Made in Paradise. So I he was a serial killer at the time, and he'd killed, I don't know, like four people and kidnapped Denise and kept it. And then I have integrated him back into society. I think I sent him to Newcastle. And now look at him, he's on Death in Paradise. He's doing ever so well. But it was brilliant. It was really good. First time I did it, it was iconic because it was EastEnders and it was like, wow, I've just walked through Albert Square to get to we were filming in the community centre. And I was like, oh, I've just walked through the new Albert Square and I think they'd just changed loads of it. So only I'd seen it at the time. I was like, oh my God, because I watched EastEnders as well. They were making the show still, but it was very much kind of you don't really go to you only come out of your house if you have to type thing. And I think, yeah, that was sort of after that had eased and people were going back to work. And it was crazy because like you couldn't talk, I wasn't even I had to do my own makeup because I couldn't let makeup people into the trailer. I mean, and I had to I wore my own clothes. So when I appeared on EastEnders, because I watch it
Yeah.
again, I was just watching it really normally, and then I was there in my jumper that I have usually with my own makeup on, and was a bit like, oh no, what am I doing on there? This is all very surreal, but it was really good fun, and
Yeah.
they're all lovely as well.
And having appeared in EastEnders that is a soap, do you think that, because I mean a lot of these similar programs get confused genre wise, and it really drives me around the bend. But do you reckon that, because I'm a stickler for the rules, but do you reckon the Road has the soap element to it, or do you reckon the Waterloo Road is just a permanent continuing drama?
Well, it's billed as a continuing drama. I don't know how you define the two. Soap is something that's shorter and more regular? Is
Yeah,
that the case? So theoretically, it would be always a continuing drama because it is it's not as regular. It doesn't appear many times a week or like on a kind of strict basis. But as far as the characters and the kind of intriguing storylines. I mean, I'm a big soap fan. I watch soaps, so I would say it does have that element to it, which is in my opinion a really good thing. Because I love soaps.
yeah, and yeah, and because it's one of those things is that the reason why they annoy me is because they appear on those programs when soaps go horribly wrong, and it's like Zamo from Grange Hill, which wasn't a soap, and they're all just there having a
Yeah.
conversation about something that's irrelevant to the concept of the Channel 5 program. To be fair, the program on Channel 5 is irrelevant. So
What Channel 5 program are we talking?
it's when soaps. I think it's called when soap stars go horribly wrong.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's
Why did they go horribly wrong? I mean, it could happen to the best of us,
oh,
but why?
it, it's because news articles. None of it could be true. It's like some like, oh
Oh,
yeah, I kissed someone else and then I got sacked from whatever.
okay.
It's Channel 5, so it's a little bit like, oh no, here's a load of celebrities talking about something that half of them have no idea what they're talking about. And they've been briefed on it 4 seconds earlier. Um, because most of it is that is what Channel 5 is. And and with having the comedy background, did that help you as an actor? Because you've already got the skill that comedy gives you with confidence and be able to control crowds. Did that help you when you transferred those skills to acting?
I think so, yeah, but I've been employed as quite comedy up until that point. So Waterloo Road, you can impro a little bit, and you're allowed a bit of leeway to do so. Up in the next lot of Waterloo Road, it goes quite bad for Wendy a little bit at some point, and I had to actually do some serious acting. Can you actually believe it? Some proper acting, and it's hard, isn't it? But that's the thing, I guess. So the comedy helps when because I'm a comedian and I've trained
Yeah,
that way for many years. That's kind of my comfort zone. So it's when you get out of your comfort zone that you're kind of like, oh, okay,
yeah.
this is this is scary.
Yeah, and I think and I think another reason why I think this version of Waterloo Road really successful is because and I don't know how accurate it is because I don't know the school term time curriculum because it changes, but I think that it works and it tries to make sure that it begins and ends and airs in term time for schools. I think that that's another form of success,
Yeah, yeah,
mimicking
you're
what's
right.
actually
Yeah.
happening. Yeah. And as a when you're doing your stand up and doing that's a poor way of describing it, but when you're doing comedy,
It's
are you the type of person that does the Billy Connolly where they walk on stage, says whatever, forgets it, and then can't, then never don't know what they're going on? Do you write it down and make
Yeah,
sure that
right.
it's written?
So yeah, I wish I was. When I'm doing it loads, I'm a lot more. I'm a lot better with interaction and kind of not putting people down, but well, it depends what mood, depends what they've said. But yeah, I'm a little bit better in kind of handling heckles but because of Waterloo Road, it's been quite difficult to do it regularly. So I've just come back now and I'm doing it, and that's become a lot more kind of I've noticed it before. When I wasn't doing it as regularly, it would be right, here's my set, here's my 20 minutes, dum dum dum, we all know where we are. And then I went on stage the other night and it just completely careered off a cliff. I was like, what? I don't even know what I'm gonna say. I just seem to be making this up off the top of my head. which which is fine, but I'm quite a control freak, so I need to stay in my comfort zone.
Yeah, and because of obviously you filming Waterloo Road, does that does the stand up gene, does the skill, do you lose it a bit? Do you lose a bit of the skill, or are you at the same place you were when the last time you did it, or are you a little bit worse for wear, if you
I
will?
think with any stand-up comedian will tell you that if you the only way that you keep the skill getting better and better and better and improving and getting more material is just to do it all the time. So if you're not doing it all the time, it does become a little bit less. But I think what you either have to do it fully or I would say not at all, but I kind of keep my hand in it. But now we're break and filming with Waterloo Road. It's increased a lot, and it's great because you can feel yourself getting like more better at impro, better at crowd control, kind of yeah.
Yeah.
All the four people in the crowd.
Yeah. And one of the other things you've done is, I think the term I'm going to use is
Careful, Tom.
I think it's billed as this massive, it's Netflixy. is what I'm gonna call it. It's a Netflixy because it's a franchise. It's now a franchise. It probably wasn't when they first did it, but it's now a franchise. But what was it like appearing on The Witcher: Blood Origin?
Oh my goodness. That blew my mind at points. So I was employed as a 4'2" alcoholic bar wench in a tavern. So it was insane. The whole thing was so big and so on a level that I had not worked on before. So the set was massive. They built this entire world for where we were in this tavern. They built an entire like village almost for this tavern pub in the world of The Witcher. And then we were filming for 2 days and there were loads of extras outside. Like the scale of it was incredible. But the one thing that really blew my mind to talk about the scale of how they're working as a production, we were on the top of this tavern and they had the cameras sort of coming in, I think two cameras coming in each end. And they had a rain machine outside the windows of this tavern. So all the main cast from Blood Origin were in it, and then there were us ran the tavern, and then a soldier who I'm with, Tom, who played Withnail in Withnail and I recently in a great production, gets his head smashed in on a table. Of course he does. It's The Witcher. And so all this happens, and we're all like, "Oh no!" Like the it's all gone really bad. But because they're making it rain outside, and we were up there for God, we filmed it. It was long days just doing the same scene over and over again because there was sunlight coming through and the lights of where they were, it started creating rainbows on set. So can you imagine when you're sat there and then these massive rainbows are appearing everywhere? It's like this is Hollywood. And there I am, sat dressed like meatloaf. They kept coming over to me and rubbing dirt on me. And I thought at the time, I was like, oh, I'll look for it because the costume's really cool. I'll be like, oh, I just look, a bit crazy. Like I've just come out of a famine situation. And it's like, oh my God, I look like I've been rolled down a hill. I look absolutely dreadful. And I didn't realize at the time because I'm supposed to be an alcoholic, they're rubbing loads of red on me. So I honestly look like a boiled fist at one point I come out. And I'm just sat while this guy's having his head smashed in, and I look more red than him. But it
And
was brilliant.
were you a fan, or were you aware of the world of Witcher before you had got the role?
No, I really wasn't. No, I knew it was like a big thing. The conversations. Obviously, I know about The Witcher a lot more now, so I had to research into it. And because it was a prequel, I was really confused about who the main characters and what, obviously I understand the concept of it. But the one thing that really got me off guard and gave me an indication into the world of how much the fans of The Witcher
Yeah,
are really across everything is we were playing this card game and it's a big part of the Witcher game apparently, and we didn't at the time we were just slamming cards down on the table and like kind of ha ha ha, and then someone was like, no, that's not how you play the game, you have to play the game right, because if that's seen to go out and you're not playing it the way that you're supposed to, it's like a massive Witcher thing that this game needs to be played to, and that's when, because it goes back in Origins and different series and the computer game, that the game's played like this, and you're like, oh my God, this is massive, isn't it? And then the rainbows come out, and then I'm rolled up like a radish, and then it's crazy. It's 120 million extras everywhere, been pushed off cliffs. It was insane.
and I think that's what made this adaptation really good as a whole. Because I think if I remember rightly, and I can't remember his name, and that's probably bad of me. But the bloke that was best known for Superman beforehand, I can't remember his name, but hey ho.
Yeah,
yeah, Henry Cavill, he was on Graham Norton saying that how much of a fan he was of The Witcher, and
yeah.
I think that's why he left the role because he had deviated from the books. That's how much because he was the fan going, it has to be by the book or else no.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's really hilarious because I've never known anyone turn down like leave a job just because it wasn't up to their standard. Because it's still a huge success for Netflix. And do you reckon that?
And that's really why he left it. Well, do you know what? If you, and I won't tell you who, but a massive comedian, years ago when I was working, and it was nothing to do with him at all, when I was working on Big Brother, and I was a series producer but on the side doing all, I was in charge of their entire digital. So before this point, we had a live feed going out, and they took it away. And this massive comedian was doing something for Channel 5 in the studio next door, and he deliberately came in to have a go at me about taking the live feed away because he saw it as Big Brother not being as transparent as it used to be. And so that's kind of the same thing. And he was like, I'd never have anything to do with it because I bet he does as well. And if he does, I'll tell you who it is.
Yeah,
If he's in Celebrity Big Brother, I will tell you who it is.
and I think the live feed in I think what's funny about the live feed is that every so often you can just hear a conversation, then bird noises appear, and they're all this really highly inappropriate conversation that no one should be knowing. It's like why so why let them just do what they want if you can't have certain
A
conversations?
lot of them would go to bed at like 3 o'clock as well because they were so a lot of the time, like some of my shifts were till about 3:30 in the morning, and you just be watching like because obviously as a if you work on the show, you can see them all the time, and you just be watching people asleep and you're trying to stay awake. That's really difficult.
Yeah. And having some insight, this is going to be an odd question, but having some insight in the world of actual Big Brother, when they did when Charlie Brooker did his drama where oh, I can't Davina McCall turned into a zombie, was that as well? Obviously, the zombie bit and the apocalypse bit isn't accurate, but was some of that accurate to how the show was really made?
Well, they shot it in the Big Brother house at the time in Elstree, so we were all laughing, kind of, because I think they've got, if I remember it correctly, the one of the producers is like, really slamming his weight around and like, no, you have to do this and that, and that's not the case. There were so many people on that production that it all had to kind of, and they were they were all in one space. So it wasn't really, if they do anything interesting, it's up to us to show. No one was trying to hide anything because we're trying to make an hour's worth of television each night. So it was in everyone's benefit. And obviously all the digital stuff that I put out, it would be a benefit, would go to the newspapers and on the website initially anyway, sort of 12 hours beforehand. So I don't think that part of it was, but the actual um, can I say that? Yeah, go on. There was, there were. In fact, I think it's that a while ago. Do you remember when the riots happened
Yeah,
in London? So there were riots everywhere, and I was in on Twitter constantly, and my team were like constantly guarding what's going on. We started getting loads of threats down to the Big Brother house, which I think quite a lot of public people did at the time, coming threatening to come down to Elstree and smash it up, basically. And so we evacuated the core staff, but on the sides and everything from the studio. But it was the people were left in the house overnight, guarded. Obviously, there were security guards everywhere and people to help them. And but they weren't evacuated. So that's kind of like
yeah.
they a zombie apocalypse.
Because that would just be the best way to do it. The world will end, but who's left? Pick for the contestant.
Well, they say, don't they, if there was a nuclear war, there'd just be two things left. Like Big Brother contestants and me probably because I'm quite unlucky.
And why do you reckon that Big Brother became the UK juggernaut that it was?
Oh, do you know what? At the time it was such a different time of sort of working in television as well. It was ridiculous. The whole live television thing was huge. So it almost we'd actually call it in television, and I haven't heard this term used for quite some time. It was called event television. So it's like kind of Saturday night or Friday night event television that you would spend all week talking about, and the evictions. The evictions were just on a different level. It was when I first started working on the show and you go down there and it was the say episode season 1 or 2 I think was or had tiny roles like tiny production roles in, but the level of interaction from the public and press and press flying helicopters over the house or trying to break things into the contestants or just if you do one tiny thing then the news of the world would slam it on its front page and it was the level of interest and people watching the show was crazy at the time. It really was. I don't know if there's been any think really since because I did the X Factor as well around One Direction and all of that time, and I don't that level of interest of live television. I don't know if apart from Eurovision, mate, I don't know. I don't know if there's like a big that much like hysteria, not hysteria. Well, it almost was like people were crazy over it, like really crazy over it, and it was brilliant. So exciting to be part of. It really was.
And I think the one that I can think of now that probably isn't as widely contested, but is big enough, I think, is the Traitors. I think the UK version of the
Right,
Traitors.
definitely.
I think,
But I guess because it's not live, it's a bit different, isn't it? Because it's
yeah,
not, you haven't got that whole kind of audience like baying or like kind of all the banners and the people outside the studio when we take One Direction in were just crazy. Or people like Jedward, like they're going crazy. Rylan, the same, like kind of people's interest in those type of shows was absolutely huge at the time. I don't know. Britain's Got Talent, maybe? I don't.
I think that would do it. But if you had people stood outside of the Traitors Castle with banners, that would be like really hilarious. If someone walks out going, "I didn't know they were a traitor. Gosh, did you just him?"
Well, recently, it was my sister's hen do. And she had a traitors party down in Wales. So we went down to, and I kind of misread it because I was in the midst of filming Waterloo Road at the time. So my attention was half on it. But it said on the Saturday night it's fancy dress at this traitors party, but they just meant fancy dress randomly, not traitors fancy dress. So I come down on the Saturday. As soon as I walk in, about 10 people are accusing me of being a traitor. So I turned on everyone. I managed to get two of them got them. I really upset a lot of my sister's friends by psychoanalyzing them, breaking them down, and then spent ages, a good 4 hours denying that I was a traitor because everyone turned on me, going, "I'm not a traitor, I'm not a traitor." And then the fancy dress party happened, and my costume, because I've misunderstood it, was Linda from the Traitors. So I dressed up like a traitor, and I wasn't a traitor, I was a faithful.
And I think that like big formats work so well. So like the other success is the US version quite successful,
Yeah.
because the latest series people were well, not many people, but enough people were into the idea of coffins just being randomly used more than they should. There's one bit where they had to try and kill someone whilst they were trapped in a coffin, and then another one where is you had to go meet someone and then you got put into a coffin if
We
you're.
we did that as well, didn't
No,
we?
well, we did
Yeah.
one person in the coffin once. They
Yeah.
did it twice. The
Oh,
two
right.
two
Okay.
different times, the person they murdered would be nailed into a coffin twice.
Oh, really?
But once by themselves and once by Alan Cumming.
So you might be able to help me actually that I am, and already I think I'll proceed with it because it is really good. I'm enjoying it, but I'm too into Australian traitors.
Oh,
Two episodes
that is
in.
brilliant.
Yeah, it does. My sister told me to watch it, and she was like, "This is absolutely brilliant." For so it's so different to the UK one, but I've just started watching that. So
Well, the the UK one's the only version I can think of that has a non-actor in the in the hosting role. So everyone else that doesn't, they're all actors.
Oh,
So they're all
really?
playing roles. So in the New Zealand version, Paul Henry, he's a well-known actor, and
Right.
the host of the Australian one within a program called The Heart Guy. So he's quite well known in
Oh, the
Australia.
Australian one isn't. They're just
Well,
some guy
in
from
the
Married at First Sight.
well, so in the UK, Claudia Winkleman, the only person who hosts the Traitors that isn't an actor.
Ah, okay.
He's a presenter, and Alan Cummings acting, wearing all these fancy outfits, looking like a weatherman, but like he's wearing the weather. He is the weather. He's like a lightning bolt in a lightning bolt dress.
Very good.
Yeah, it's quite weird. And why do you reckon that why do you reckon that format in themselves are such a popular form of TV these days?
Oh, I think if you get it right, I worked for a little while in format development for entertainment for the BBC. And I think at the time we were trying to develop Britain's Got Talent. That's what we were trying to do. It was like a Blackpool vaudeville type thing, which the idea eventually went on to be Britain's Got Talent and given to ITV. So, but I think if you get it right, and I don't know how to get it right, that's why I'm not a multi-millionaire exec producer of Traitors or whatever. You, yeah, and I don't know what element, yeah, I don't know what elements do make it right. Cliff edge, um, likability of casting of the contributors, the contestants. I think that's really important because I've watched some things and I've hated all the contestants and I've been a bit like, well, no, I'm not going to carry on with it because they're all utterly. But then saying that, I will watch something like at First Sight Australia. And the format of that, I don't think our format worked very well with that, although it was a little bit more interesting of because they had to marry them for longer, and I think they really did marry them. But I think their format, the Australian format or the format that's popular now, worked because there's more people doing it, and there's although the marriage isn't completely set in stone at the beginning, or like you just want to see couples have rows, don't you? That's what you want. So I think that they took that initial experiment that Channel 4 had and then went, okay, what were the most important things of that? What got the press attention? It was the characters and the interaction between those characters. So yeah, but if honestly, if I knew what made a massive entertainment format, I would not be sat here now. I'd be on a beach in Barbados.
Or you'd be Richard Osman hosting a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that's what millionaires do. They host a podcast complaining.
Are,
Uh,
are you a millionaire then, Tom? I'm getting loads of sun.
no, I'm not a millionaire. I'm worth about £4.50.
That's
Um,
£4.50 more than I am.
and because of Waterloo Road being back now for a good while, I can't say a few years. There's been multiple series a year, so I can't really say a few years, but enough time has passed for it to be a while. How do you reckon that your character has developed since the initial, when you were first cast, to where you are with the character as of the current series?
So the current series, I think my character develops more than it did in the last sort of two series. I think initially Wendy was quite a sort of passive aggressive, kind of funny one-liner, and now been given a bit more of a storyline and luckily a chance to sort of flex the acting muscle. She's developed quite a lot, particularly in this. I had a brilliant scene with Lindsay in the hospital, where I've my actions have led to her being beaten up terribly. So I go and visit her in the hospital and find out it's her birthday and all this. And it was just fantastic working with Lindsay and having that kind of having someone of that level help you like in a comfort level that you're not not obviously if it was comedy, I'd feel a bit more comfortable than it was. So yeah, and do the scenes with her. But as I said, so the development in this is starting to happen, and then in the next series.
And do you reckon that? Do you reckon that in real life, do you reckon that the school would have been shut down a long while ago from offset, or do you reckon that it would have survived the multiple teachers that have been coming and going left, right, and centre?
I don't know. Like, so I seem to remember. I'm not going to say what, but I seem to remember quite a few teachers getting up to some terrible things in when I was at school, and our school's still going. So I don't. Yeah, maybe it is just standard that you can kind of. But I think what Jason, his character Steve Savage, his kid killed someone and chucked him in a canal, or he chucked him in a canal. So that's bad. That's really bad. So Lindsay just got beaten up. So things are it's a school of lots happening, let's put it that way.
I think it's the only school that you can have a whole board dedicated to all the teachers that have either died of natural have died just whilst working there.
Oh,
Because
don't say that, Tom. I want to go back.
it's one of those things. It's like when you see people talk about these programs, they're all like, "Oh yeah, it's really odd that schools they're allowed that name now because of all these people that have been killed by teachers."
Yeah, yes.
Oh, so fine. I think my favorite bit about Waterloo Road is the fact that in sometimes in the original when you watch all the series in one go, you can see that the school needs rebuilding every other series. There's always a new element that gets destroyed by the end of it.
Well, we had what to the school's burnt down, hasn't it?
Yeah,
So with Danny, that was the old school that we were in. So that burnt down. But to be honest, that school was falling down as well. So burn or falling, it was going to come down at one point.
yeah, and I think that I think it must have been it might have been the first series of it coming back, but I remember a lot of people had noticed it as well. But the school had been used. I think it had been used prior as another school in another BBC program called 4 O'Clock Club.
Yes. 4 o'clock club, yeah, it
Yeah,
has.
and it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
using that, and I just think that's really hilarious because one minute it's a sensible school where people get into trouble over sensible things, and next, well, there's all sorts going on.
it's all and I tell you what else it was used in as well. The rooms, obviously they look different, were used in hospital scenes in It's a Sin.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is a dramatic twist of events for a school.
It was, it very much was.
No wonder it's abandoned. And so, as we get to this point in the interview, what advice would you give someone that is thinking of getting into the world of acting?
Oh, just do it. If you the diff what I've noticed about people who work professionally, actors in that field, or even comedians as well, is it's you can't not do it almost like all the we call them the kids who aren't kids on Waterloo Road because they're a little bit older. They, it's in their blood. They can't not do it. It's all they want to talk about. It's all they want to do. And that's why at the age of say 20, 21, they're at the top of their game working on a BBC One show. I know I certainly wasn't at 21 because they want they quite early on they decided that they wanted to do it and they just did it and did it and did it. It's like I was saying about stand-up earlier that the way you improve and the way you get better is just doing it and doing it and doing it. But I've noticed someone said to me about acting, which was really interesting about the break on Waterloo Road. They said, well, you can go and do stand up, you get that live fix all the time. And I can do stand up a couple of times a week if I want to. I can do it everywhere in the country when I want to. But acting, you almost have to have somebody else let you do it or give you a reason to do it, which I found I hadn't really thought about before. But advice wise, if it's in you and you want to do it, go and find an amateur dramatics club, go and find an acting workshop, or just go to your local theatre. There's loads of really cheap, sort of free fringe theatre as well, and just go and immerse yourself in that world, talk to people, and then actors love talking about themselves, as you probably noticed, stand-ups even more. So there'll be people that can help you and point you in the right direction.
Yeah. And because you've done so much, both in many mediums, are you the type of person that would sit there when it's on, watch yourself back, or are you the type of person that waits until it's all over and runs directly for the hills and so far away that you never have to see yourself on screen ever again?
Well, it's hard because in my mind, yes, I'm that person that would just jump off the hill and not, with my eyes shut, just so I didn't have to watch it. But I really like it, so I want to watch it. I'm like, and I think it is actually important to watch yourself. I think it's, although it's really hard, it's a hard watch to watch physically yourself on camera, and not be self-conscious about that. I think it's really important to kind of. I know for a fact in some of the acting classes that I've done because I've got massive eyes that and it works for Wendy. I can do this on camera and it's like kind of it looks, but if I do that in any other like a serious ITV kind of police, right, everyone's just died and I've got to arrest someone. If I do that, I look like I'm mugging the whole thing off. So it's things like that that you learn from watching yourself, and you're like, oh, that gesture's to your eyes are so expressionate that you've almost got to bring it down and down and down constantly. And I think that's the type of stuff that you learn by watching yourself back. And it's really good. I like Waterloo Road. I like watching it. I get a bit shocked when I appear in it, but I enjoy it.
And do you reckon that you do you reckon that by the end of it you get a little bit too overcritical on yourself, or do you reckon that that isn't an issue for you?
No, no, I think, yeah, definitely. I think it's a good thing though. I don't think like, I mean, I can't imagine who would be at the level and just go, oh yeah, yeah, no, I was brilliant in that. I'm sure there is. Like, I would love that confidence that I could watch something. I could go, I looked amazing and I was amazing. Hello, instead of, oh no, why do I look like that? Or I could have done that better, or I could have done, and it's different things as well. Like I look back at some of the different shows that I've done, and I'm like, oh, well, maybe if I'd have done that again, maybe I'd have tried a different way to do it. Like, but you only learn that from it's constant learning acting, isn't it? And stand up.
Yeah, and do you reckon because you watch Waterloo Road, do you reckon that helps you think, well, I did it like that, but I could have done it better? And then when you go back into work, do you reckon that helps you to think, well, I've seen how it looks on camera. This is how I need to make sure that I do the best of the ability.
Yeah, definitely. And directors as well will help you do that. They're very like particularly directors that you've worked with before. Like Jesse that we've worked with on quite a few things will come over and be like, "Oh, you remember that time when you did such and such? Can it be a little bit like in that football field, or can it be, can we have it in that park or that, or don't do that."
And do you enjoy the acting? Do you enjoy it more when you're doing it on camera, or do you think that you prefer it when it's live on stage?
Oh, that's really difficult. I don't know. I think they're both so different. They're both kind of, and each comes with its complete. I mean, you can come off stage if you've had a really good gig, and it's just ridiculous feeling. Like the adrenaline is brilliant, but then you can come off having done scenes with, say, where you've had a real laugh and you've really. I'd say the scenes that I was doing with Lindsay, the hospital scene. I remember finishing that and just been like, oh my God, that was. I'll remember that for forever because it was so good, and it was so good to work with her and have that experience that it's both are brilliant but in very different ways.
And one of the things we've worked on, I would consider, and there's not many, so in this area, so I do think that there's a reason why there's not many because they're trying to adapt and make more, but at the moment it's similar. But what was it like working on Disney Plus's smash hit, which is what I'm going to call it, even if Disney Plus might not agree. What was it like working on one episode of Extraordinary?
Oh, that was brilliant. But I was by far the oldest and uncoolest person on that set. I looked like I'd come to pick everyone up and take them home. No, it was brilliant. And when I first got those scripts through as a writer, I kind of thought, oh, well, what's the point? This girl's like 23, 24, and she's just written something so funny that I don't think I could ever write to the like as good as this. It's so funny. And then when we went in and the cast, it was the first, a lot of the production had not worked in TV before, and a lot of the cast hadn't really done that much. Like, not, I think Luke's a comedian, but I don't think he'd done loads of TV stuff at the time. So working with him was brilliant because he's like a clown, isn't he? So he's really physical comedian. I mean, it was just fantastic, but everyone was far too cool. They were all ridiculous. They were lovely, but I felt really uncool.
And why do you reckon that this was unique in its? Why do you reckon that this was unique in the genre that it was putting itself into?
Because I think it was quite brave, actually. I think like it was doing that traditional kind of gag heavy format of a sitcom, which hadn't really been done. It was before that, it was quite a natural, like kind of Afterlife or The Office, or kind of like a very natural based comedy. This was very gag heavy and like kind of, but it was also very surreal as well with the the superpowers element, and kind of everyone just it was really brave thing to write, and it was just brilliant. And it's what makes anything a success, I think, in comedy is if it's funny, and it was really funny.
And do you reckon that that's why it was popular? Not just because of the cast list, not just because Siobhan Sweeney was in it and Ardlaw Hadley was just there. Do you reckon that it was popular because of the writing, because of the scenery, because it was like nothing anyone'd seen before?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think it was so when I was reading the scenes, like of they sent me episode 1 and 3, I think. So I was reading the scripts through, and just reading the script, I was laughing out loud. And if you can read something on paper and it be before anyone's done, and it's hysterically funny, it's like, oh, this is so good. This is brilliant. Just the ideas that they've taken it in, the weird twists and turns, the quirkiness of it. 'Cause I kind of like alternative comedy and things that are a little bit off the beaten track. So yeah.
Yeah, because I do think that most superhero problems wouldn't have a bloke that can turn into a cat. I think if you watch The Flash and then there's just a cat man walking about, that would sort of like go, right. That's less of a really dramatic now.
Well, I'd read that in the script that he turns into a cat, and then I met Luke, and I was like, and they got him in this like kind of fluffy Prada jumper almost, like this 1970s. Everyone was dressed really cool. It was like, oh my God, he does look like a cool cat, a fluffy cool cat from the 70s.
Yeah. And one of the other things we've worked on, and I know I'm going to use the same term again, but because in my opinion it was another smash hit. Uh, Bearing in mind that it had an incredible cast within it. What was it like working on Avoidance?
Oh, Avoidance was brilliant. So I was terrified. I'm just going to pull this again because I'm getting bathed in sun. The sun keeps moving as it does. See, me and my science GCSE, is that better? Yeah. Kind of. It was fantastic working with Ramesh on Avoidance. He execed it. So I thought on the day that we were doing it, I thought, oh, it was supposed to be his day off, and because obviously as a comedian, he's so good at stand up, and you're like, oh God, but not intimidated, but a bit. Oh, I hope when is he going to laugh at the stuff? But I thought, oh, it's his day off. He won't be there anyway, so the pressure's off. And then he came in anyway to watch the scene. I was like, oh no. He laughed, which thank goodness.
And do you reckon that it was a success and it was popular because of the writing? Or do you reckon it was a success because the concept seemed to be slightly more unique than the other sitcom, than the other type of program that were on at that time?
I think always in things like that, it will always be the writing because you can come up with a great concept for something, but if the writing's not any good, then it doesn't make any difference, does it? It will fall flat. But if the writing's good, you can come up with an incredibly simple format, and it will still be because the format of avoidance really was him like in his relationship with his child, just going day to day and been, it was nothing major. It wasn't like super, everyone's got superpowers and such and such. So yeah, it's just the strength of the writing, really, I would say.
That would be a completely different program. If it was the same concept, but they've always just got superpowers for no apparent reason. You can all just fly around. It's like the same event happening, just every so often something gets burned by accident because they've used a superpower when they weren't supposed to.
Well, this is it. On Extraordinary, I tried to pitch myself in a little bit into the show a bit for series two, and I was like, oh, you could use Diane again in The Chemist, and like, because Diane, like my character was really nice and just like, oh, come on, chicken, and and I said her superpower could be that she can switch and be absolutely horrible, like really nasty, horrible, and then just back to being really nice again.
Yeah, if like Jekyll and Hyde, but
Yeah.
without but without High Brown, High
Highbrow.
Eyebrow, eyebrow. It's a word that everyone can say. And so as we come towards the slippery slope, we call
My
the
career.
yeah um, down the slide that is probably flooded from water because it rained all the time. So it's their own fault for leaving it out. What upcoming project, other than Waterloo Road, what upcoming projects have you got coming up that you're allowed to talk about that you're not constricted to not say anything about?
Oh, I've signed my life away. I'm not allowed to talk about anything. I'm really not. But if it all comes together and it all goes according to plan, something brilliant. That's all I can say about it. Something that I'm so excited about. But yeah, we'll see.
And
These things it can disappear as soon as they arrive, in my experience.
and do you know the release window for when the next season of Waterloo Road might be coming out? The release windows are not specific time, but a window of
Yeah, I would say when was so last time they did it last year, January, didn't they? The first one came out, and then so this year they released it February, and then the last year they released it November, maybe October, November, and the first year. So maybe around that time, maybe autumn wise. I don't know. I don't. It's not. I'd love to know myself, but if you find out, let me know. But maybe that time. Oh, I'm only going off that because that's when it was last time.
yeah, and but the BBC will confirm if they know any more, because that's what they love to do. Confirm is what they love to do. They don't love to make things up, unless
Did they confirm with you?
no
Are you the person that they confirm with? Because
I
I'd
mean
like to know a few other things actually, if that's the case.
I'll be the worst person to confirm to. I'm not. I live in the middle of nowhere, so it'd be
Yeah,
hard.
me too.
I can tell a sheep. I can tell a deer that lives
Yeah.
near my window. I can just yell out the window and tell the deer, but they'll have no idea. But I'm
Hey.
poor John. And so, as we come towards the end of the interview,
Mm.
please could you let people know where they can, without giving away your home address, where can people track you down online?
Uh, Track me down online. Oh, you can have my home address. Joe Coffey Comedian at Instagram. Is where I am online mainly. I'm on Facebook as well under Joanna Coffey, I think, but I don't. It's all public, but I don't use it much. And Twitter. Oh my God. Does anyone use Twitter anymore? It's
Oh,
it's quite the Wild West nowadays, isn't it? It's like, wow, I like still very boringly like to have a bit of a rant about stuff that I've seen on Newsnight or Escape to the Country because I'm that old and boring. But yeah, Twitter in general I don't. So mainly that's Joe Coffey Comedian is where you can find me on Instagram.
well, I like to complain about Antiques Roadshow.
Do
Uh,
you?
they did an a 40th anniversary EastEnders one, and normally Andy's Roadshow, you thinking about selling the item that you're bringing on to get valued, and so the bloke that owns Muffin the Mule, that his grandparents were the operating, he was on it just to gloat that he still owns it.
How much do they value it?
It's like 600 to 800 grand. It was a lot of money, and he went, I'm not gonna sell it though. I'm thinking, well, why turn up? Why turn
Yeah,
up?
exactly. Because they've asked him.
Yeah, yeah.
But I saw one really inappropriately where they reveal how much that the thing cost. And this bloke had a big golden eagle. I don't know where he was in the country, some countryside location. They had this massive big spread out golden eagle. And it could have gone either way from it. You know, it could have been a cheap bit of tat, but it turns out it was valued at I think about 9, 10 grand. And so it comes to him, and the guy's like, "Oh, and I'd like to tell you that this particular family heirloom is worth £9,000." And this guy goes, he's clutching his golden eagle, and he went, "Sweet, sweet, that's so sweet on Antiques Roadshow." Sweet. I bet he flogged it.
Someone needs to write a sitcom about someone that goes on to Antiques Roadshow and then just doesn't, then find out it's worth like 4 million and then just doesn't sell it.
Yeah. All of them say when they have like their jewelry and it's passed down from my grandma to my mother and this big bit it's just a piece of costume jewelry. It's been lying around for it's worth in excess of £20,000. Well, obviously I'm not gonna sell it. But I am going to Florida.
Yeah, you just find out that they went on a holiday to Barbados. Oh, where'd you
Exactly.
get the money from? We didn't tell Aunt Judy's little keyring that she wanted me to keep and pass down for years later. No, 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 no. We saved up, and she actually was a cleaner for like a really random office firm that no one's really heard of.
You just hear them at the airport going, "Sweet."
Yeah. And so there we have it. Another glorious, wonderful, epic, amazing, dictionary defining, glorious interview. The type of interview where you lose track of your analogy and then get confused and still ramble on to try and work out what on earth you were trying to say. Story of my life. Um,
And my career.
and well, thank you for letting me interview you.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you guys for watching. And remember, no, I've forgotten.